So I want to orient you so you can see where we're at right now. And every time I come out here, I have to reorient myself. It's exactly what we're looking at. You're in the northern part of the Sea of Galilee, and of course you have the southern northern part. Starting on my left, your right over here. This city over here, the white buildings, is Tiberias. And we went through Tiberias yesterday. Tiberias is the largest city around the Sea of Galilee. And then we'll move this way. We'll move northward to identify some of the landmarks. If you move north of Tiberias, you'll see a plateau off in the distance over there. Those are the horns of Hattin. And if you keep going, you have the Arbel Pass, and then you have straight. Let's see, to the right of there, you have straight ahead of the boat. Actually, is Magda, right? Magdala is straight ahead of the boat. The white buildings on the shore is the city of Mary Magdalene, and then as you move to the right. You move to the right, you see where I'm pointing? There is a white building just up off the shore, about halfway up, or a third of the way up. See the big white building?
Yeah.
You see where I'm pointing?
Surrounded by trees? Yeah.
Yeah, surrounded by trees.
Oh, buildings.
White building surrounded by trees, and the birds are flying in the Beatitudes. That is the Mount of Beatitudes. And to the if you go to the Mount of Beatitudes and then come down to the shoreline and go to the left, you'll see some trees. That's Capernaum. And that's Jesus' headquarters. That's Peter's mother-in-law's house. Lots of stories, the synagogue. We're going to have Mass there at Capernaum later on today. Okay? And then if you move to the right, let's see, all the way to the right, you see the snow-capped mountains? That's Mount Hermon, up by Lebanon. And that is an unusual day on the Sea of Galilee to see that. Right below that, you'll see sort of a canyon. You see the canyon coming into the water?
Yeah.
The dark spot? To the right of that is Bethsaida. Ronnie, that's to the right, isn't it? Bethsaida. And according to Luke's gospel, that's where the feeding of the 5,000 took place. Many believe that that's the city that Jesus taught about when he said, "A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Remember, he talks about how we are lights, we should shine. Don't put your light under a bushel basket, but let your light shine. Let people see your good works. City set on a hill cannot be hidden. That's also the center for Jewish mysticism. Jewish mysticism is really kind of headquartered out of there. Some of you know, like, for example, the pop singer Madonna was into Kabbalah, and that's the center, right up there. So that gives you kind of an overview of where we're at here on the Sea of Galilee. No doubt the Sea of Galilee was very a common place for the disciples, especially the fishermen, where they would come out here in the early morning and fish. Sometimes when you wake up early in the morning, you can hear fishermen on the lake slapping the water, trying to push or scare the fish into nets. And this was their livelihood. This is where the early disciples were. This is where they were. This is where they lived in this area. This is where his Galilean ministry took place. Nazareth is about 16 miles, 15 miles this way, over the hills. So I like to soak that in. But I brought you out here on the Sea of Galilee. I wanted to give you a little bit of a message, taken from one of the stories that took place right out here in the middle of the sea. And I'm going to read to you from Matthew's Gospel.
And there is something which is very important for you to understand. In many places that we saw and we see throughout the store, there is a tradition. In here, this is something that everybody agrees on. Okay? Take a look at the plaster over there. Okay? See the red dot?
Uh-huh.
Where's the red dot? Okay, you see the red dot?
Yeah.
Yeah, over there, all the way over there.
Everybody get to see the red dot?
Right.
So this is one, and right opposite, I mean like with the back to us,
Straight ahead.
this is the other
Yeah, I see the
piece
back. Oh, yeah.
of plaster.
Thank you.
And again, I want you to understand, what am I talking about? No one in this village has plaster. Only in here there is a plaster, and not only that, on the plaster there is a graffiti. What else are we looking for? War. As I said, war. St. Peter's mother-in-law house, please keep the mail in the box. You know, I'm like, again, as I said, you have to understand the reality we're dealing with. And so the very fact that we have this plaster in here, out of none of the other houses around here, this is, I think, the best proof we can have to the very fact that we are dealing with a place where Lord Jesus was in the very room that Lord Jesus was in, and from here, all those miracles, all those gospels were so familiar from this very room, this is where they spread it all over. Another thing is, as we mentioned previously, as soon as they came out of the house, they entered into the house of St. Peter, mother-in-law. There's the synagogue, and this is as soon as. They didn't walk 1 block. Think about it. See how close it is. Right from there, they're coming into the house. Okay? So as we walk up the steps, take a look to the left, and you can see the black stones at the bottom.
To share with you something that is memorable, very memorable. You know, one of the keys to coming to the Holy Land is taking back with you ideas that you'll remember over and over and over. And the best way is to attach your experience to things that you repeat. And one of the things that you repeat over and over is the Mass. And there's a phrase in the Mass that comes from here. You know, this is the synagogue, and Ike's going to tell you all about the synagogue and more about it. And then, of course, Peter's house, we had Mass over Peter's house, where Jesus healed Peter's mother-in-law. Archbishop Fulton Sheen said that that's the reason Peter denied him 3 times. That's where the healing took place. Okay? Now,
There's two scriptures that I'd like you to remember. One is an example of how close things are, and that's in Mark chapter 1 and verse 29. It tells us in chapter 1 and 29, it says, "And immediately he left the synagogue," where Ike's going to explain this synagogue. He left the synagogue and entered the house of Simon and Andrew, right across the street there. He left the synagogue, went over into the house. But in Luke chapter 7, in verses 1 through 10, there's a wonderful story about a man who built this. And it says, "And after he had ended all his sayings in the hearing of the people, he entered Capernaum. Now a centurion had a slave who was dear to him, who was sick and at the point of death. When he heard of Jesus, he sent to him elders of the Jews, asking him to come and heal his slave. And when they came to Jesus, they begged him earnestly, saying, 'He is worthy to have you do this for him. For he loves our nation,'" the centurion, "he loves our nation, and he built us our synagogue." And Jesus went with them, and when he was not far from the house, the centurion sent friends to him, saying to him, "Lord, do not trouble yourself, for I am not worthy to have you come under my roof. Therefore I did not presume to come to you, but say the word, and let my servant be healed." And of course it was. And that's a beautiful phrase that we use. "Lord, I am not worthy to receive you, but just say the word, and I shall be healed." That's where this comes from. So every time you hear that in Mass now, you can think of this beautiful place.
This is the Church of the Mount of Beatitudes, the site where Jesus gave his Sermon on the Mount. John. Mount of the Beatitudes, overlooking the Sea of Galilee.